Are you going to dance with me? I love it. Christalle did promise me a dance party, so I don't know if this is a dancey enough music. But welcome back to another Colorful Kita with Dory. We are going to hang out with Christalle Bodiford this afternoon, and we're going to talk about how you can make an impact with your art. Yay! I might need something more dancey. This is more reggae. But, you know, we can't put a hip out us old ladies, you know. Oh my goodness. I had to start there because I love you, girl, and I am much older than you, and I died a little for you on the inside when that little girl says, oh, no, you're not old. You're the same age as my mom.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, I died. I died a little on the inside for you, and I went...
It hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I'm so young and hip. You don't know.
I'm only in my 30s. It hurt a lot.
Right. I'll tell you something that my son told me when I was 37 that was awesome. One of his friends said, 30 is old. And I said, excuse me? And he said, that's okay, Mom. Old plus 7 equals young. So you're all good.
All right, cool.
Right?
Cool.
I can roll with that. So today we're going to talk about a bunch of things, but first I want to start with the open call for artists that you have. I want you to tell us all about that.
Okay, so Lifeelektrik, which for those of you that don't know, is a nonprofit for adults with epilepsy, and we're going to be hosting a art show / silent auction in April. So I know it seems a long ways away off, you know, like you got plenty of time, but entries for the show are due by January 1st.
Okay. So
the theme is electric, and we are accepting all different mediums of artwork. Our board will review the artwork the first 2 weeks of January after the submission date's cut off, and then we'll announce who's been accepted, and then we'll show those pieces in April in Austin.
Yay! So what kinds of art do you accept? Can you please close the curtain behind you?
We're doing all different mediums. So it could be a painting, it could be photography. If it's, film, we can arrange to show something like that. All different types. So we really want to leave it open to everybody because there's a lot of artists even within the epilepsy community, and we want to showcase all different types of art. So.
Well, and that's exciting because as soon as I heard it, I went, "Ooh, I wonder what counts as art." You know, do stationary pieces, only pictures, only graphic art? So I'm excited. You do art as well. Are you going to be entering something?
Yeah, so I'm going to enter a piece or two, and hopefully the board likes it. You know, it's going to be judged just like everybody else's. But even if I don't get into this show, then I'll probably, do some kind of epilepsy awareness piece with it anyway.
Well, and I love that art can bring change into our lives. So let's talk a little bit about that. I titled this live, Living in Black and White. And because for me, living under medication for depression was really very much like living in black and white. And when we've talked about it, I get the feeling that it's similar to that for you. So let's start there and talk a little bit about what life used to be like.
Very, very different. Very different, and not in a good way. Medication was horrible for me, for my seizures. Actually had more seizures on medication than I did before starting medication. So I was only on it for 2.5 years.
Wow, okay.
And I also, I was on medication for anxiety and depression as well. And so I can relate. But after 2.5 years, I just knew that's not how I wanted to live my life. My entire personality changed. I was very angry all the time, really irritable. I had no social life. What did it do to my creativity? I had no creativity. There was none. It was just, mean, all I did was go to work, come home, go to bed. And even going to work was a challenge. And the medication that led to my personality changes led to me eventually being laid off from my job and losing work. And so, yeah, it wasn't a fun way to live at all.
And what changed for you? Because you were living in a life that you were so unhappy and so not yourself. And all of a sudden, look at you. You're beautiful, you're thriving, you're happy. So what changed, and how do we change that?
For me, I think I'm lucky in the sense that I got diagnosed with epilepsy later in life. And so I had 25 years of the person, I thought that I was. And so when I compared that to who I was on medication, I knew that's not who I actually was. I had always been pretty happy. I had some depression issues and anxiety issues, but nothing to the point where it was like an overshadowing theme throughout my whole life. I'd always been pretty happy, creative, outgoing person. But once I was on medication and I was withdrawing, I didn't really want to be around anybody. Even my husband said, he didn't even recognize who I was then. And so for me, I think having that comparison really gave me a shift in my perspective after 2.5 years is still quite a long time to be on a medication, but I just didn't want to live that way. I knew what it felt like before, and I knew what it felt like on the medication, and I wasn't happy. I was more depressed. I was having more trouble, and a switch flipped at some point. I just said, okay, the only difference between now and then is the medication. I had seizures before. I just didn't know what they were. Now I know what they are, but this medication has made me something that I know I'm not. So I decided to wean myself off, and I started making dietary and lifestyle changes, and that's what eventually led me to keto.
Excellent. And not everyone can be medication free, but if you can be, and if that's your choice, then I definitely recommend we strive towards that. Now, were you able to wean off on your own, or did you need a doctor's supervision to be able to do that?
I kind of broke the rules. I had discussed with my neurologist multiple times trying different healing methods or different methods for seizure control, knowing that I had so from age 13 to 25, I only had 5 seizures. Okay. But in the 2.5 years I was on medication, I had 6 seizures.
That's more. That's more. I'm not a mathematician,
right?
But that's more.
Yeah, so I knew something wasn't working with the medication, and I knew how I felt, and it definitely wasn't better. So once my doctor told me, we're not trying anything else, this is what's going to work kind of deal, I said, all right, well, you're just not going to be my neurologist anymore. And so, as I mentioned before, I got laid off from work, and so insurance was done. There's no way I was affording $500 a month, $475 for the medication. So I went to my doctor one last time, and I said, hey, this happened, can't afford it. And he gave me a starter pack of the medication, and I just worked my way backwards. So I started with the highest dosage and went to the lowest dosage, essentially weaning myself off of the medication. So I did not have a doctor's supervision. It's not something I recommend. I was a bit of a rebel, but it worked for me. I think one reason because I wasn't on the medication longer than 2.5 years. If this is something, I had been on longer than that, 5+ years, I definitely wouldn't have done it that way. But, so I did it without a doctor, and it worked out, but I was very careful in the process. And I also, the same time I weaned, like I said, I cut certain things out of my diet. I stopped, smoking. I quit drinking, that kind of stuff. I had a huge Dr. Pepper habit before, and so I totally cut back on soda. So all these little things, I think, contributed to the bigger picture, and what eventually eventually led me to where I am today.
So let's talk a little bit about against doctors' advice, because I certainly don't want to encourage anyone to go against their doctor's advice. But here's the honest truth. Not all of the doctors that are our doctors are familiar enough with a ketogenic way of eating to even make that decision for you. Now, for example, my brother has seizures, and his family practitioner says to me, I don't think keto's really for him, Dory. I don't think it really is. I mean, he has fetal alcohol syndrome. He's severely disabled. He mentally caps out at 3, but he probably should still have carbs and sugar. Probably. Well, my adopted brother. He's not genetically ours. But, and I just kind of look at him and said, but it's developed for that. So I won't lie. Jacob is not strict ketogenic, but he's a low carb, and I do that against his doctor's advice, because I know what it does for him, and I know that just going low carb, he's all of a sudden way more verbal.
I believe it. Yeah.
Way.
Yeah, I started with modified Atkins diet. And so that, that's how I started, was just really low carb. I was just counting net carbs. Not really watching the percentages of fat I was intaking or anything like that. But just with that, I noticed a huge difference. And I felt great for 8 months. But, I think we've talked about this before. Knowing what I know about electrolytes now, that was the real issue and why I didn't feel well on the modified Atkins diet. But just the lower carb, the no sugar, it was a game changer for sure. And it made a huge difference in my seizure activity, the fact that I could control my seizures, and the way I felt. I mean, I felt like freaking superwoman.
Right? You could take on the world. So you know what? Even if you don't want to go straight to a keto diet, just taking care of your carbs, cutting out your sugars, these are going to make a huge difference. And how about inflammatory things? Would you add that in there and say, you know what, pull those out even if you don't want to do the keto?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge believer in turmeric. I put it not only golden milk, but I put it in my food with cracked pepper, because that's supposed to help your body absorb it more. But inflammation, I mean, it's the root cause of a lot of illnesses, and so it just makes sense. If you can keep inflammation at bay, then you would be healthier in general anyway. So, but definitely for seizure activity too. So yeah, do it.
So I'm smiling. My man is doing silly dances in the corner for me, right?
Yes.
like yes. So I'm casually, smiling, but flipping him the bird. Oh my goodness!
Boys are for that.
Right? Don't they keep life fun and interesting? What would we do without them?
Most of the time. No, I'm just kidding.
Most of the time. Well, and then they expect us to feed them, right? I mean, we got to do all that extra work, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
It is. It's worth it.
What's your favorite date night meal? Speaking about food, if you guys were gonna do, say, a Netflix and chill night, what would be your go-to supper/snack to hang out?
It is very tricky in my house. My husband is pretty much vegetarian.
Okay.
And I'm keto, and I love meat. So it's kind of tricky. Our go-to, our compromise, which we actually just had for lunch, is nachos, because the cassava root or flour, I can do those. And so we'll get cheese dip from the nearby taco shop, and he'll get food there, and then I'll bring my own chips, and that's like our go-to compromise date night meal, because it's easy and we love Mexican food.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, Jade knows me very well. Keteries are addicted to their bacon cheeseburgers. So
Love you. Have a good night.
That's mine and Jade's date night meal.
Oh, I love bacon. I swear bacon was that word that changed everything in keto for me. Bacon and pork rinds. I was like, what? Oh, girl, you are speaking my language.
Bacon is magical.
They're not kidding when they say meat candy, right? Like,
right? Oh my gosh. Every time I see you post bacon with chocolate on it, I'm just like, yes. get in my mouth.
Oh, an angel got its wings today. You know, you put a little sugar-free chocolate on bacon. Oh, and the angels just sing for you. They weep.
Oh my gosh. Yes, salted chocolate. Oh my gosh. Because I was just telling Jay the other day, I love the salted almond lilies chocolate bars. And she just gets just the salted chocolate, but I bet that would be amazing on bacon also.
I'm obsessed with the food. The food led me to the keto. So I want you to know that if you think that it's boring and that the food is bland and horrible, that's the only thing that led me to keto was the food. Because I had zero interest in a diet. I won't lie. When my girlfriend phoned me and said, "Oh, Dory, I found this new diet," I swore at her face. And I said, "You better back up off me with that D word. Do you want to be my friend? Do you want to be my friend?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, I want to be your friend." And I was like, "Then you better shut up." And then I found out about the bacon and the pork rinds and all the good stuff. And you are frozen. Okay, we'll give you 2 seconds to unfrozen. And if you don't, I'll pop you out and then we'll pop you back in. Let's try that. Oh, yeah, there we go. And we'll pop her back in. We have a little technical issue today, and that's how that works sometimes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to have to wait for her to pop back out and pop back in. So while we're waiting, I want to say to you guys, please share this. If you have any friends or family who would love to donate a piece of art for the epilepsy fundraiser. And this is how we get to make an impact with our art. Now, I'm kind of curious. The only art I do is food art, and I don't think that one really counts. But I think any other art that you guys do is right on the table. So we will double check, because you know what? You never know. I could donate a piece of food art. You just don't know. I don't know. I'm going to guess with food regulations and whatnot. Probably not. But I certainly would be willing to create a signature recipe for somebody. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, let's try to add Miss Christalle back in. I'm so excited. I don't know why we're having issues, but I'll tell you it's worth it every time to hang out with this lady. She's absolutely amazing. If you do not follow her on Facebook and Instagram, run right now. Hello!
Hello again.
Hello! I'm telling everyone, leave right now and follow Christalle quick before she comes back. Perfect timing. You have like 3 seconds. Run! Do it now!
Hurry up and do it now.
Do it now. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the art submissions and how you go about submitting that. Because I know that there are people who are watching who either are thinking, I wonder if my art would count, or I know someone who does amazing art. So I want to make sure they have all of the details to go where they need to go.
Yeah, okay, so any type of artwork, like I said, our board's going to review it, and so we're trying not to put limitations on the type of submissions, but we also have all the information on our website. If you go to lifeelektrik.com/electric,
okay,
it's there, or you can just go to our website and you'll see it under the advocacy tab, and it has all the guidelines. So submissions are due by January 1st, and that will just be via email. So all you'll do is take a picture of your piece of artwork from different angles, obviously your name, contact information, the title of the piece, and then just a little blurb about it, you know, what inspired you, or the materials, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a varied art show, which is going to be great, because I think it's important that we can show people with and without epilepsy all the different types of artwork that they can do and their capabilities, because there's so many stigmas surrounding epilepsy and what, you know, we can and can't do, supposedly. But I think the show is going to prove that people with epilepsy can do really awesome, great things, and hopefully will change some people's minds.
I love it. So let's chat a little bit about some of those stigmas. What are some of the things, Christalle, that people tell you can't do anymore or you shouldn't do when you were diagnosed? What was the number one thing people said? Oh, I hope you're done doing that, girl.
I think driving was the biggest one. Driving. So I got a motorcycle. But in all fairness, there are a lot of people with epilepsy that can't drive. I am lucky because I have auras, so I have a warning sign about 10 minutes before I have a seizure, and so I was able to keep my license. But that was definitely the biggest thing people were concerned about. Obviously, the flashing lights. Anytime there's flashing lights, people think, oh, you're going to have a seizure. I don't even have photosensitive seizures or photosensitive epilepsy, so flashing lights don't bother me. There's only about 3% of people with epilepsy that even affects. So
I did get in a little trouble for these from somebody who was like, you really shouldn't be talking about epilepsy with those in the background. And I was like, okay, but very few amount of people are triggered by that. No one has ever messaged me and said, Dory, I love you, but you trigger my epilepsy.
Those aren't really flashing, though. I mean, they kind of just all, look like purple and white, but yeah, I wouldn't think those would bother people.
Yay! Well, then I feel less guilty.
I give you my seal of approval, Dory.
Yay! Oh, I'm so glad. So, on our closing out thought, why don't we talk about the other places where people can find you? Because, you know what? Some of us live under a rock. Some of us don't know who you are yet, and we want to. We want to know where we can follow you everywhere. So tell us all the places that we can find you, lovely.
All right. So Lifeelektrik is at lifeelektrik.com. We're also on Instagram under Lifeelektrik. You can actually see the website behind me, I guess. And we're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. And we're even on YouTube. We have some really great educational videos on YouTube for people curious about epilepsy and even for people that have epilepsy. And then my personal account is just at Christalle Bodiford and christallebodiford.com.
Yay! So I will gather all of those links as well, and I'll post them on the live and on the Instagram feed so everybody can find you. And I heard a little secret that I don't know if you can dish yet, but I'm going to try to pry a little out of you. A little birdie told me you're working on a book.
Yes. Okay, so I am. I am contributing a chapter to a book with 28 other female entrepreneurs, and it will be released in, it's going to launch in March or April of next year. So I'm very, very excited about it. And it's just going to be, my chapter will be a little sneak peek into my own book that I'm working on as well. So I'm really, really, really excited about it.
Oh, you have to make sure you let me know. Like, we are going to share this everywhere. I am so excited for you. Christalle Bodiford, published author. Just saying, right? Right? Published author? Published. So fancy. I love it. Oh my goodness. And what else do you have exciting on the go in the next couple weeks, next couple months that we need to keep an eye out for?
I do. Okay, so I have some writings coming out. One is going to be on the Pass Fail blog, and it will be talking about how failures are actually successes and how we can grow from our failures. And then I'm also going to have a writing coming out on seizure adventure.
Ooh.
And it's going to be sharing about my trip to Flagstaff, Arizona, camping trip. Yay. So that should be fun. That'll be coming out the first of the year, and the Pass Fail will be coming out on the 12th of this month.
Oh, and we have so many good things up and coming through this holiday season. Like, I don't, every time I look at my Instagram feed, I'm like, oh my God, all the best stuff is happening this month. Like, so I'm like, true. Keto holidays. We aren't going to miss anything. Last year was my very first ever keto Christmas, and I think this year I'm even more excited.
like the more you learn, the more you have to get excited about, right? Because you realize you could do so much more than you originally thought you could.
Well, and for you, I know you don't get to eat off plan. Eating off plan is not an option for you. It's not like, you know, cheat day. But for me, when I have occasionally eaten things that were off plan, I find they don't taste as good as they used to. So I'm only missing the idea in my head.
Yeah, because it's like when you think it's amazing when you were eating it, you were essentially addicted to that food. And now your palate and what your body wants has completely changed. So you go back to it and it's just like, wait a minute, I really hyped this up. This is so overrated.
Oh, and that is the truth. For as hard as I thought that keto would be, and all of the things that I bemoaned and I thought that I would miss, I don't even like those things anymore.
Right.
I don't
Isn't
even
that
like
crazy?
them. And I think that's the
makes
best.
It so much easier though.
Oh, when you don't even want it, right?
No.
Hashtag, I don't even want you anymore. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. And I would love to get together again before your submissions are due so that we can remind everybody to get them in and chat about what you've got going on. Hit me up in the next couple weeks, girl. Let's do it again.
We'd love that.
Love you, lady. Have an awesome day. Bye, doll.
Bye.
Okay, guys, so much fun. Let's get our dance song back on. And my guy's working evenings this week, so let me know if you guys want to do a Q&A this evening, or if you'd like to watch a fun movie. Let me know. We can hang out. Have an awesome day, guys.